My name's Raoul, and I want to tell you about a real story, which happened with my very good friend, Himanshu. This incident took place in 2007, just after I finished my intermediate studies and moved to the city for higher learning. There, in the city, I met Himanshu, and soon after, we became very good friends. He was studying in the same coaching center as I was, so we both decided to take on a flat and rent it together. We were preparing for the army exam, and during that time, we had become very close friends. It quickly became time for the army exam, and we both aced the written part. Now had come time that we just had to clear the physical exam before they would hire us into the army. One day, Himanshu said that he wanted to go back to his home village in order to train and prep for the physical test, and then he would return to the city. 2 days later, he packed up and left for the village. Now I was living alone in the flat. I guess I started to get lonely, as only after a few weeks later, I tried contacting Himanshu, but each time I would try, I'd get no response. I couldn't get in touch with him. After around 2 months, with zero contact from the day he had left for the village, suddenly, one day, he came back to the city. He showed up with his elder brother, who had dropped him off. I was so excited and pleased to see my friend back, but something was off. I noticed Himanshu had changed. Earlier before going back to the village, he was very fit and a healthy person, but now he had become very weak and thin. Even his face had lost all its charm. His brother stayed with us for 2 days, but then he had to return to his village as they needed him back. But before he left, his brother pulled me aside and said, "Please, take care of Himanshu." I was so very confused, seeing Himanshu's condition. I thought he was going to train. Something must have happened. Once his brother had left, I pulled Himanshu aside and I asked, "Hey buddy, what happened to you? You look so thin and weak. Are you okay?" At first, he kept avoiding my questions, but I wouldn't let it go. And then eventually he broke and told me everything. Himanshu started to speak. "I went back to my village. I was so happy that I cleared the written part of the army exam. And in that enthusiasm, I started studying with double effort. There was a government school located just outside our village. And in that school, there was a very large playground, perfect for working out. I would get up every morning at 5 a.m. and I would hit that grounds for a run and for exercise. One night, I was studying in my room. I didn't even realize how late it was. In fact, it was 2 a.m. I thought if I slept now, then I wouldn't be able to get up at 5 a.m. for my routine, so why not just pull the all-nighter? I could just go hit the grounds in the morning and do my workout and sleep later. But after sitting around until about 2:45, I decided not to wait. I went outside to the playground and just started going at it. It was pitch black, and it was pretty hard to see. Even the roads were barely visible. It was also November, so it was very cold outside. I had never gone out to the village this late at night. There were still a few lights around, but outside was all dark and deserted. Sure, I could hear a dog barking in the nearby area, which made the atmosphere all that more tense and spooky, but yeah, I wasn't scared at all. Sure, it was cold, but when I reached the playground, I just started running. After doing about 7 sets running around the park, I was dripping with sweat. I decided to take off my jacket and put it aside on the ground. I did about 2 more sets and was exhausted. I laid down, right there in the middle of the playground. My whole body soaked with sweat, but it felt so good to lie down there, that I just closed my eyes for a few seconds. I didn't even realize I drifted off to sleep. Then, a cold breeze just blasted me and woke me from my sleep. I shot up. I opened my eyes and started hearing the sounds of anklets, as if some girl was walking nearby. The sounds started coming towards me. You know, I'm not the person who could be easily scared. I wanted to join the army. I'm a brave person. I've caught and killed so many deadly poisonous snakes with my bare hands. Even when fights would break out between my village and the neighboring village, I was in the front line of that fight. But this was different. This was another kind of fear. My brain was continuously warning me of, like, some kind of danger. My eyes were continuously scanning around me to find the source of that sound, but there was nothing around. The sound just kept coming closer and louder and louder. At first, I thought maybe it was just a woman from the village who might be in the area to use the toilet. Yeah, it was common practice back here in the village, but I knew I was wrong. No one from the village used to come near the school grounds to use the bathroom. And then, as soon as I got to my feet and stood up, another cold breeze of wind hit my face. But this time, it was not like before. This time, the wind had a fragrance. A sweet smell, which could turn anyone mad. I don't know what happened at that time. I just started walking towards the direction from where I thought the scent was coming from. It was as if I had completely lost my senses. I wasn't wearing anything except my pants and my shoes. I had left all of my stuff back in the playground. It wasn't like I even felt cold. I just kept walking in that direction because I had to find the scent and that sound of those anklets. I could hear a faint sound of a girl smiling and laughing. And to be honest, at that moment, all sorts of dirty thoughts started running across my mind. I kept walking even faster. I just wanted to see that girl, that playful, pleasurable laugh. I started running in the dark like a crazy man, and then all of a sudden, something hit me so hard that I blacked out and I lost my consciousness. When I opened my eyes, I found myself lying on the floor inside the girls' bathroom of the school. And that's when I felt something touching my body. I felt the weight holding me down, as if somebody was sitting on top of me. It was pitch black in there. However, my eyes adjusted to the darkness, and that's when I saw the black figure sitting on top of me, rocking back and forth, back and forth. It was a woman. Her hair draped all over my face. She was moving her head vigorously, side to side. I was no longer brave. I was scared shitless. Seeing her scared me to death. I tried to get away. I tried to get out of there, but I couldn't move. My body was frozen. It was like my brain had stopped working. I started reciting mantras inside my head, but that must have only made her upset as she started scratching at my chest with her long nails, tearing the flesh from my body. Tears started dripping from my eyes, but I couldn't utter any sounds from my mouth. I continued to pray to God just to save my life, and then try to gather all the strength I had. I screamed out loud, and that's when I realized I could speak. I started uttering mantras loudly once I found out that I could say something, and as soon as she heard them out loud, she quickly ran away and stood in the corner. She was the one who was afraid now, and she started pleading with me. Stop! Please, stop reciting this. Seeing her pleading like this gave me more strength, and I started reciting mantras even louder. She again pleaded, please stop. I don't want to harm you. Please stop this. But I didn't stop. I also didn't want to take any chances. Now that I could move, I just started running away. And while I was running, I continuously recited that mantra. I ran. And as I ran, I could feel her chasing me. Somehow, I managed to reach my home alive. Upon reaching my home, I did the only thing I could think, and that was to hide under my blanket. I was shaking with fear. The rest of the house was still fast asleep. They had no idea what had happened to me. I saw the clock on the wall. It was 4 a.m. I didn't tell anybody about the incident, but from this day onwards, I started seeing that woman in my dreams every night. She came to me. She would seduce me into making love with her each and every night. And as each night passed, I slowly became weaker and weaker, to the point I had no energy, that I had to stop working out. I had to stop running. Seeing my declining health, my parents got so worried that one day they asked me about the whole thing. I couldn't hide my declining health from my parents, who were now so worried. I had to tell them everything. I even told them about the dreams, and about what she would do to me in these dreams. The next day, my parents took me to the local tantric. The tantric did some occult ritual, and with his mantras, he called forth the woman from within inside my body. The woman's spirit came from within me and spoke. She said, "I used to live in a nearby village, and I was studying in class 10 in that school. I had an affair with a boy in our village. We loved each other a lot, but his father was against our relationship. One day his father saw us both together, and he beat him and me so badly. After that, his family sent him to a different school, in a different city. He stopped talking to me. I was so alone and depressed, so one day, I brought poison along with me to the school, and during our recess time, I committed suicide. That day, I saw this boy lying half naked in the grounds. I couldn't help myself. I liked him a lot, and now I will stay with him always and forever." I guess by that she meant me. But then, the tantric somehow managed to get the spirit off me. The tantric told my parents to send me back here, to get me far away from that school, to allow my body to recover and disconnect from the spirit. I was so weak, but that's why my brother came here to drop me off. That's why I'm here with you. Help me get better. Hearing Himanshu's words gave me chills, and I got scared. Then I asked him how his health was now, and he said he was completely fine. But later, I noticed every night, while he was sleeping, Himanshu was still talking dirty and made some very strange moans in his sleep. At first, I tried to ignore it, but then it started happening each and every night. I asked him again, "Himanshu, I think you're not well." But he said, No, don't worry. I'm completely fine. I just need to be here. I'll be okay." But then, that same night, he again started with the same behavior. I used to study till late at night, and this was all really disturbing, as it was hard to focus listening to him make sounds and talk dirty. So one day, I called Himanshu's brother. I told him everything. I was worried that he wasn't actually cured. When Himanshu came to know about this, that I reached out for help, he was furious. He started abusing me badly. He still appeared weak and thin, so the best he could do was use his words. But that was okay, because a verbal attack meant nothing to me. But then, he started beating me. I don't know how it was possible, but he still had the same level of strength from before. The fight didn't last long, because thankfully there were some other boys in the neighboring room who came in and stopped Himanshu. Otherwise, he would have killed me. His eyes were still so full of hate. The next day, his brother arrived and took Himanshu back to the village. I got too disturbed and scared by the incident, and seeing my friend decline, I decided a few days later I would leave that room. About 2 or 3 months later, I called Himanshu's brother and asked him how he was doing, how his health was. I knew from his response things weren't well, and that I may never see my buddy again. He said Himanshu was not mentally well, and that he didn't think he would ever recover. They were talking about taking him somewhere else for different treatments, and that they would let me know if anything changed with his status. We hung up the phone, and I sat for a while thinking about my friend, Himanshu. He was a very sincere and hardworking man, and seeing him like this still pains me to today. I pray to God each and every day for his recovery, and for anything like this to never happen to anyone else ever again. I still miss my buddy, and wonder each day, why do bad things have to happen to good people, especially those that we're close to, and those that we call friends?
Well, friends, how'd you like today's story? Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications for this channel to listen each and every weekday for more real horror stories. We got a ton of amazing real horror stories, and we're dying to share them with you. So until then, stay out of the dark and stay tuned for our next video.